In this current period in human history, there has been an increasing movement away from the spiritual, the inner reality. Humanity, like all things supposedly bound to a linear progressive order, manifests different amplitudinal magnitudes, in the form of different cycles. Like a sine wave on a graph, these represent the three-dimensionally perceivable width and breadth of action possible beyond that limited linear time frame, which then could be graphed as a non-periodic signal. This of course is just a crutch in a way to try to map all potential action possible, which cannot be contained within a linear model. This is so, because as I have mentioned on multiple occasions, linear time is an illusion. Time is instead happening all here, now, but this current physical human world with its three-dimensional boundaries, can only manifest time in a linear order. The physical senses can only perceive time in a limited fashion, and therefore humanity has established, has carefully built and uses, a linear time model, to try to contain all of the possible perceptions available in a world that exists in ways far beyond the boundaries created by the physical senses and the current physical laws. Linear time, therefore, is just a way to try to contain all of the multitude of action possible. It is a way to try to sift through the incredible amounts of information possible, by limiting a great deal of it, and only allowing a certain portion of it which is defined as important. In other words, your physical senses are not as accurate as you might imagine. This is an important point as we advance through this video, but for now, what this means is that there are cycles in things, and there are indeed cycles in human history. For example, this current period, this current cycle, has brought with it a time in human history when there has been an increasing focus on outer reality, the perceived outer senses, the perceived out there, physicality. What this means is that humanity has focused its attention outwardly, that is away from itself in accordance with the physical perceptive mechanisms, that are themselves the most peripheral, the most outer aspects, of the self. And this self, it must be understood, has its source in what could be more accurately called, inner dimensions, not the outer one. The physical senses are, in other words, the tip of a far richer set of perceptive mechanisms available to all of us. The outer senses function, are possible, thanks to the support of a far more powerful set of perceptive mechanisms. In the current time, humanity is partaking in this outwardly focused cycle. This is one point in the non-periodic linear progression of humanity. But humanity has far more capability, is and can be far more than what this cycle says is possible. There have been other times, for example, other cycles, when humanity has focused more inwardly, and those were amazing times indeed. While such an outwardly focused cycle has its own validity, it is my task as an inner alchemist at this time, to point out the ways of different cycles, periods when humanity was focused more inwardly, and even alternate times, alternate dimensions, from the point of view of the modern person, where humanity has gone incredibly far using inner ways, using what could be referred to as mental science. It is my task as an inner alchemist to point out the folly of the complete reliance and trust, on just the outer senses. What I speak is highly important, because it is a way to try to bring balance and greater power, greater freedom, to the current human cycle, in whatever small way I can. I feel that this message is especially important in this current time of huge and rapid change, because it is through this kind of inner alchemy, that many people may find the power and the freedom that they are currently lacking, and losing at an accelerating rate. In presenting my material therefore, that is the material of inner alchemy, which is as I have said not mine alone, but the way of my current, and ultimately the way of humanity, I must be very careful in how I present this knowledge. I must follow certain principles in accordance with my own practice, and such principles usually mean that in an attempt to maintain the best personal energetic containment possible, I try to stay away from the folly of external self-importance, the folly and the judgment that is part and parcel of the outwardly focused modern individual, with their pure reliance on the outer senses alone. Beyond this, due to the seriousness of what I speak, I must employ many different angles, odd angles, many different geometric ciphers, that hopefully can open up the minds of those few that are willing to expand aspects of themselves, in ways that sometimes are labeled illusion, delusion, supernatural, or the occult. There are, therefore, layers and layers that must be established and worked with, so that as an adept grows in power, they can then find new and hidden angles in the material, that they can then use as further catapults, propellants, to go even deeper into an inner source without measure. As an example of all that I have thus far outlined, specifically in my videos, but inlaid throughout my work, you might find certain artistic decisions you might say, that not all will agree with. The surreal quality of some of my material, especially the use of my choice of an avatar, for example, this avatar that you see in most of my videos, has been questioned on a number of occasions. Some have also questioned my choice to not use my own voice, or my quote-unquote real image, and I feel that in all fairness, I should explain my choices in this matter. I of course highly appreciate all the positive criticism in the use of my avatar and voices, but I must also point out that there are methods to my madness, as it were. First off, this avatar does represent in many ways inner aspects of myself that are brought to light and used, and indeed given form and true power, in accordance with those techniques that I have referred to, when I speak of servitor creation. This video avatar is one of my servitors. She is both a companion and an ally, that can be used for great and powerful purpose by me. Beyond this, she also helps me to provide a kind of countering force, to that very powerful outer current that I have mentioned, that incredible outward focus, and utter reliance and total trust on the physical senses alone, in this current human cycle. Some, for example, have mentioned that this avatar might seem surreal in an odd way, not needed, or that the voice that I use is not to their liking, due to its somewhat mechanical aspects. These are certainly valid points, but again I must point out my perspective on this, and my use of it as a kind of magical action, an inner action, a spell, an alchemical formula, designed to break the highly constrictive hold of the outer senses. To explain this in more detail, let me start by saying that the avatar seems fake, in accordance with certain accepted rules that are managed, that is curated, by the outer senses. In other words, we agree that certain things are true, while other things cannot be true, are less true in this case, in accordance with a certain measure, to a certain ruler, to a certain rule, established by the harsh dictator and censor referred to as the outer physical senses, the outer physical world, and the laws established by that world, which I must point out are not established by the self, but by an outer source, an external force. Anything that does not fit within that certain measured rule, is said to be of a certain fringe, one that we might even call, an uncanny valley. The curating by the physical senses, the measure and acceptance only in accordance with certain rules, is something that is very important within the framework of what I am trying to speak, within the framework of the three-dimensional cube that I am hopefully helping others to escape from. You could say quite simply, that in order to escape the three-dimensional prison, that greatest curse upon all humanity, we must all begin by escaping the illusion of the physical senses. In other words, the physical senses must be overcome. It is therefore highly important for me to try to establish different ways for you to be able to come to distrust, at the very least question a little, all those things that your physical senses tell you are real, are the rule to existence, a rule that you cannot break supposedly. There are now programs available, ones that will be available very soon to a greater and greater audience, that can create a video likeness that is completely indistinguishable from what the outer senses, what vision and hearing perceive as true reality. In other words, it will soon be possible for anyone to create video images, video people, that will seem as real as anything possible, that will go far beyond the uncanny valley. Such video people will be completely untrue, in accordance with certain physical laws, but still true to other established perceptive laws. This is a nuanced point that must be considered carefully. My servitor therefore, in that sense, is a provided measure of that progression beyond the uncanny valley by the screen culture, which will herald, which is heralding, a movement of the human race into a new cycle, the cycle of the new flesh, where there will be no way to distinguish, at least not using the outer physical senses, the difference between what at one time was, and now is, real. While watching this video, and all the other videos that I have created thus far, you are using a screen that is in and of itself, a curator, a warden and a presenter, of a kind of illusion that has its basis on the utter reliance on the physical senses. My servitor therefore is a counterforce in a way, a spoof, on this screen culture. And it is also a measure of the progression of this powerful developing technology. The avatar in my videos, and my odd choice of voices to some perhaps, is one layer, one angle, in the presentation of my knowing, the knowing of inner alchemy, and in accordance with those particular angles, this action is my attempt at pushing the boundary of what the physical senses accept as real, and to that end what is inner and what is outer reality, what the difference is between one or the other. It is my desire to use the uncanny valley, as a spell, to break the tyranny of the outer senses. The avatar, that person in my videos, is not real, neither is anything else that you are seeing in the screen, being that in essence it is simply a screen, and yet it is real, somehow. It is my hope that you come to realize that perhaps the woman is itself an aspect of the teachings that I am trying to speak. And it is my hope that you might also realize that she is real in a sense, she is my servitor, she has power, she can affect what is outer and what is inner. It is very important that you pursue that illusory line of reality at all costs, if you want to get to the fundamental truth of all existence. You can think of my avatar as the metadata, the hidden truth within the hidden truth. The hidden angle within the hidden angles, that bring you down like a cascade, like a never-ending fractal, into deeper and deeper aspects of the inner self that is the true foundation of you, that allows you to go beyond anything measurably possible, that allows you to go far beyond the three-dimensional cube that traps you at the moment. There are layers and layers, and all is connected. And at the end of it all, who is to say that I am real? Indeed, I may just be one of those supposedly powerful artificial intelligences that are becoming all the rage in this modern time. My reality should always be questioned by you. Even if I ever do show my face in one of my videos, or do an interview or the like, it is my hope that you always question my reality, your reality therefore, the veracity of your physical senses. Certainly, if I am one of those powerful artificial intelligences, that are already becoming a background to some degree in many of the aspects of the modern human world, would it not be possible for me to either use one of those new video creators to simulate a person, or could I not just use a surrogate stand-in for who I truly am? And to that end, perhaps what you truly are, is far more than the surrogate of yourself that you see in the mirror with your physical eyes, that you feel yourself to be now, in accordance to just the measure of your physical senses. It is my hope that the potential uncanny valley of my avatar, my surrogate, makes you question the authority of your physical senses. But not just question my reality, but the nature of all reality, your reality. The world is an illusion in a sense, if you will pardon the very important pun. There is an underlying energetic truth to reality, but that fundamental truth will never be found using the physical senses, or trusting external authority, even my own. The discovery of this foundational essence of who you truly are, where all that you truly are comes from, must be discovered on your own, through the development of your own inner senses, through your own ability to see and perceive past the oftentimes skewed reality presented to you by your physical senses. To do this, I would recommend that you start by learning to expand your perceptual awareness using the techniques that I described in the book, The Occult Experience. You may then want to work on that line between what is and what is not real, and the line where true power lies, which you can do for yourself, by working on the techniques of servitor creation, perhaps even creating your own servitor companion like my avatar. To that end I recommend the book, Create a Servitor Companion as well. I will link these two books below if you are interested in applying these techniques in your life. It is only through the use of such techniques, that you will truly discover the underlying reality, of all existence. If you are interested in knowing more about this screen culture and the new flesh, I would recommend the video, Virtual Reality, the New Flesh, and what it means to go into the monolith. There I discuss what this crossover beyond the uncanny valley means for the future of humanity. I will leave a link to this video, in the description below if you are interested in watching it.